September 15th meeting of the Humboldt County Association of Governments Board. The Humboldt County Association of Government meetings will be held at Eureka City Council chambers and conducted telephonically through Zoom. The links for the Zoom meeting are on the HCOG web page. At this time, we will call the meeting to order, and can we get a roll call?
Supervisor Wilson?
I am here as the alternate for Supervisor Wilson, Steve Madrone, 5th District.
Thank you. Mayor Jones?
Here.
Mayor Seaman?
Here.
Councilmember Avis? Mayor Adkins Salazar?
Here.
Councilmember Gordon Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Jack West?
Here.
PAC member Arroyo? PAC member Allstrand?
This is Saskia Burnett for Tatiana Alstrand.
Thank
I'm
you.
here. Thank you.
And Chair Johnson?
Here.
Thank you.
And thank you. At this time, we'll adjourn as the HCOG Board and reconvene as the Policy Advisory Committee. We have no presentations this afternoon. And at this time, we'll entertain public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have any? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent calendar, consisting of AB 361 findings, approval of the meeting record for August 18th, TDA Development Act 2% bicycle and pedestrian allocation request, and approval of the City of Arcata fiscal year 22-23 LTF claim. Does anybody wish to pull anything or have?
For item B, approval of the meeting records, I just have a clarification on that. So if we need to pull that, or I can give it now, whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
It's just I was listed as present at that meeting, and although I was here in spirit with all of you, I don't believe that counts. So I was actually not at the meeting, and that's all.
Okay, well, we will look for a motion of approval of the consent calendar, including the minutes as corrected.
So
I
moved.
so move. I'll second it with that correction or change.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we get another roll call?
Supervisor Madrone?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Seaman?
Yes.
Mayor Adkins Salazar?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes. Oh,
Gordon
Yes.
Johnson? Councilmember West?
Yes.
Chair Johnson?
yes.
And PAC member Reimer Burnett?
Abstain.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And seeing we have no items removed or action items, we have a informational item, a Regional Early Action Planning Grant update from Una.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So as you all may recall, the Regional Early Action Planning money came into HCOG to help with housing, which we have not exactly done before, definitely not directly this way. And this is a really good opportunity. It delves with the most recent update of the Regional Transportation Plan, which more explicitly talked about our policies and projects to actively work on the land use transportation planning nexus. So the biggest update is that we received our check from HCD. We had received an advance, which we had asked for $60,000, and we've been working with that for the last almost 2 years, doing outreach and talking to the jurisdictions and other stakeholders and figuring out how would we allocate the bulk of the money. We have done that, gotten approved over a year ago for that, and now the money is in the bank. So all the cities and the county and also the Wiyot tribe have applied for specific sub-allocations, and they all know what to do to request that and get contracts. And at least 2 of the board members may have been present at your city council or board of supervisor meetings where a resolution came to you to ask for that money. So this update is just to refresh your memories and let you know what we have sub-allocated so far. So from the original program of REAP, we are required as the COG administering this program to do both education about what the RENA process is and share outreach and best practices with local officials and staff and stakeholders, basically all to reach the goals of meeting the state's goals for addressing the housing crisis. And basically the end game is to build more housing. And then there were 3 program activities that we decided how to split up. The bulk of it went to a regional endeavor. And I've been talking to predominantly planners in community development and planning of all the jurisdictions, and they reached the consensus that most of this regional money would go for the regional climate action plan and things, planning things related to that to get that adopted. And then we had a set aside for the smaller cities, under-resourced, which is defined as a planning department that has less than the equivalent of a full-time planner. And they got a special cutout, which was in the second page of your staff report. And those folks reached consensus that the way they wanted to split that $45,000 was to have a baseline for each of those cities of $6,000, and then with the remainder, they divided it according to the percentage of arena houses. So that made a little difference, with Rio Dell getting a little bit more than Blue Lake and Trinidad, and Ferndale a little bit in the middle. And then there was 199,000 sub-allocations for technical assistance that was really open to all jurisdictions. And they were very diplomatic about asking for that money, and most kept their asks to about 15,000, a little bit more for the housing authorities. And basically we're all just looking at the goal of helping community discourse for increasing housing in the area as fast as possible. And then another thing that we have accomplished is that Stevie Luther, the associate planner, has been taking charge of getting the arts grants out. And that is a part of our program where we're trying to expand the discourse and the education to reach different kinds of people who are stakeholders and interested in this, but in their daily lives it might not come across to them. So we have various proposals that were accepted, scoring very highly, and there'll be things like art installations and videos and hopefully songs. We did run into a little bit of uncertainty about copyright with the department, so we're working through that, and hopefully all those artists will be able to do their best. And we'll also be coordinating with all the jurisdictions for how you can share in basically advertising that and coordinating it with any planning activities you might be having. And also, if you all have special ideas about discourse in your communities and how we can help that, either at the staff level, at the community level, what have you, then there's still money to be allocated for that. So that's the end of my prepared staff report update.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? It's a
I just wanted to say, for the Eureka co-housing authorities, for a lot of people that aren't super familiar with that, that is the housing that's kind of the public housing over by Winco, and the repositioning plan will allow them to both upgrade the housing and build new housing, because they'll be able to work with the developer. And so we're really hoping that they'll be able to take that, and they can fit a lot more housing on that space. And so I just wanted to kind of let people know that that's what that meant, because I think a lot of times they work outside of all of our jurisdictions, including ours at the city of Eureka. It's a very strange relationship, but really looking forward to the potential for that, and also sort of thinking about how do we partner with them. So as they're doing the repositioning, maybe they could move the folks who are in their current housing into ours new housing as we get it built, so that they can, because they have to put them somewhere else while they build up that housing. So anyways, I'm going to hear more about it later this month, and I'm looking forward to it. But
Good.
thought I'd let you know.
Thanks. Any other? Okay, well, thank you. And then thank you for taking a program and starting it and running with it, because it actually came from nothing to something.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun. Except
Thank
this
you.
copyright thing. We didn't like that.
And no more questions. Let's reconvene by motion as the HCOG board and approve the PAC recommendations.
So moved.
I'll second. Oh.
A motion and a second.
Supervisor Madrone,
Yes.
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Seaman,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins Salazar,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jack West,
Yes.
Chair Johnson.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. And we come to the executive director's report.
Yes, thank you. I have just a couple of quick updates. At the last meeting, we talked about Humboldt Transit Authority being awarded the TERSIP grant, and part of that award was hydrogen buses. And a question had come up that I was supposed to report back on was, when would the first buses start arriving? And that is expected, if all goes to plan. They would start arriving in the fall of 2024 through the spring of 2025, and the fueling station would come online basically coincidental with the first bus arrival. So that's the timing on that. There's also, or separately, we have your board has been getting infrequent updates about the safe supplemental patrols, and we still haven't had any confirmation that EPD has been able to resume their patrols on the corridor. But for the first time, we actually have statistics related to the additional deployments that CHP does on 96 and 36. And I think this is really interesting. So year to date, since we haven't received these before, we looked at the whole year, and they've completed 70 deployments. And during these deployments, they provided aid to 275 motorists. These were people stranded on the side of the road. Additionally, they gave 69 verbal warnings and issued 48 citations and made 1 arrest for a DUI. And then looking at a monthly statistic between our last board meeting and now, they've completed just 5 deployments, but even in that time provided aid to 28 motorists, given 2 verbal warnings, and issued 4 citations. They traveled 883 miles on both those highways, and 2 were conducted on 36 and the rest were on Highway 96. So I will be able to get these statistics monthly from here forward. And, really the point of the SAFE program is to provide aid to motorists. So I was really shocked that we've been, helping that many drivers. And we know that there's not good cell reception on these highways. So it really does make a big difference. And they're really being strategic about when they put out the additional patrol, and thinking about when traffic is highest on these different roads and trying to hit those days. So maybe a Saturday or a Friday, depending, like if people are going out to Ruth Lake, or maybe they're coming home on a Sunday. They're trying to keep track of all of that and make sure that their deployments are coinciding with the heaviest travel periods. So we really appreciate getting this information and look forward to being able to report to you all monthly about what they're up to. And then the final announcement, probably several weeks back, you all should have received an email invitation to register for the Accessible Public Meetings training. This is a training that HCOG is sponsoring as part of our equity initiatives, and it's going to be led by Peggy Martinez, who is a local consultant of creative inclusions, and it actually be here in these council chambers on September 21st from 10 to 11:30. And this is really focused on how we can do our outreach to be really inclusive of those who have a variety of disabilities. We'll cover demographics, local demographics, things not just about like, is it ADA accessible? Can we get into the building? We'll talk a little bit about that too, but how can we make our presentations more accessible? And just again, the idea is to be really inviting so that it's a comfortable place for everyone to participate. And we have opened that training up to all of our member jurisdictions. So far, we only have about 16 people registered. We'd love to see more. We have tried to reach out, but if there's, in your individual jurisdictions, if you think there's staff that would benefit from the training, please let them know. I'd be happy to resend the registration. And we'd love to have as many people participate as possible. So that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Anybody have any? Yes, Mayor Jones.
Yeah, hi. So you said, going back to the Eureka PD, they're not patrolling the 101 corridor anymore, and didn't we allocate money for that?
Yeah, so we did, and they'll work off that contract as they have staff available to do the patrols. So in the meantime, they've just indicated that they don't have the staff resources to do the extra patrols. So that money is still waiting for them, and if they were able to staff up or have extra capacity, they could resume at any time.
Any others? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to Caltrans Reports.
Hello, everyone. My name's Saskia Burnett, and I work with Tatiana in the Regional Planning Unit as the Humboldt County Regional Planner, and I also am a District Transit Rep. And Tasha asked me to pass along a few items as she is out. And the first report she wanted me to pass along information is that she attended the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission meeting last week. And her update on the last chance grade is that Caltrans expects the two-way traffic to reopen in early 2023. And hopefully within a month or so, we can provide a more specific date on when the two-way traffic will be restored. Also, most of the wall on the downhill side is now complete, and this is a major milestone for the project. The remaining work includes completing a smaller new wall upslope, removal of what they term as wall number 3, which is the wall on the upside, on the uphill side that has been splitting apart in recent times, and performing the excavation that's necessary to realign the roadway about 12 to 15 feet inward, along with another 2 feet higher in elevation. And additional other minor operations throughout the grade are also remaining. So that is the information, the latest information we have for that particular project. Another item that I would like to pass along relates to the the Highway 299 at US 101. The off-ramp there. And the Northbound ramp project is currently in design and is still on target to begin construction next summer. Marie Brady is the project manager, so if there are any questions, we're happy to pass those along to her if there's any follow-up. Relating to the Broadway pop-up, we do not have a firm date on when that event is likely to happen, unfortunately, at this time. Joe Caminiti, who's the District Complete Streets Coordinator, he mentioned that the tentative schedule is still to hold that pop-up sometime this month, but unfortunately we don't have a confirmed date in our schedule. So anybody who's would like project information on that can go to the Caltrans website, District 1 Current Projects page. And there's a link there. So probably if you have any questions about that, then I can certainly make a note or pass it on to Joe Caminiti, and they can help you a little further on that. We had hoped that it would be mid-September, but it looks like it might be a little later. I believe those are the main updates. The Eureka Arcata corridor, I have been informed from Jeff Pimentel that the bid opening is scheduled for October 4th, and that he mentioned that he will provide an update on that at the next board meeting and also the TAC meeting, which is the meeting that I attend for Caltrans. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to pass along any comments to the right people. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Well, seeing none, thank you very much for the report. And I think we all look forward to a couple of those, the bid opening and the last chance grade two-way traffic. So thank you.
Thank you.
And was it PAC member reports? Do we have Council Member Arroyo? So nothing there. Any comments? Yes.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. My seat next year will be filled by somebody else. I'm not running for re-election as council member from in Rio Dale. And what that's going to mean for this body is that for the last 7 years or so, I've been your representative to Congressman Huffman's stakeholders group on the last chance grade. And there's a meeting scheduled, on-site meeting scheduled in about 4 weeks. And we're going to be looking at the north end of the proposed work where there'll be a bridge through old growth redwood forest. Of all places to today put a bridge, this is probably not the most desirable, but it is going to be a fact of life, and we're going to be talking about mitigation. What possible ideas can we come up to mitigate a sizable take in World Heritage Forest? So it looks to be an interesting meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you. I may want to try and make that one myself. Any? Okay. Well, seeing no other further comments, questions, we will call this meeting adjourned, and thank you all for your participation.